Africa Global Radio. Our story, our growth, our future.
Headlines across Africa.
You are welcome to Headlines Across Africa for today, 8th February 2024. I am Mary Agyepomah-Kissi. In the headlines, Zimbabwe abolishes death penalty. Egypt warns against fighting in Rafah as U.S. Secretary of State tours in effort to secure ceasefire in Israel-Hamas war. And West African bloc calls on Senegal to reverse the presidential election delay. Zimbabwe's cabinet has agreed to abolish the death penalty for murder offences almost 2 decades after its last execution. An approval of the memorandum on the private member's death penalty abolition bill presented by Parliament last year brings an end to the death penalty introduced in the country by British colonial administrators. In an official statement, the Zimbabwean cabinet emphasized the need to maintain a fair and balanced penal system where aggravating circumstances can result in life sentences. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has made steps with a diplomatic tour of the Middle East meeting Egyptian leaders as part of his efforts to secure a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war in exchange for the release of hostages. Blinken's visit comes amid concerns in Egypt about Israel's intention to expand the combat in Gaza to areas on the Egyptian border that are crowded with displaced Palestinians. Egypt has warned that an Israeli deployment along the border would threaten the peace treaty the two countries signed over 4 decades ago. The North African country fears an expansion of combat to the Rafah area could push terrified Palestinian civilians across the border. Blinken, who was meeting with Egyptian President Abdel-Fattah el-Sissi in Cairo, reiterates that Palestinians must not be forced out of Gaza. West African bloc ECOWAS has called on authorities in Senegal, one of Africa's most stable democracies, to hold their presidential election this month as scheduled instead of delaying it by 10 months. The country's president, Macky Sall, postponed the February 25 vote, citing an electoral dispute between the parliament and the judiciary regarding some candidacies. Opposition leaders and candidates rejected the decision, calling it a coup. Several opposition lawmakers were blocked from voting on Monday as Parliament rescheduled the election for December, prompting outrage. President Sall's time in office had been set to end on April 2. ECOWAS encourages that the political class should take steps urgently to restore the electoral calendar in accordance with the provisions of Senegal's constitution. And that is how we wrap up Headlines Across Africa for today, 8th February 2024. We'll come your way tomorrow with more news right here on Africa Global Radio. I am Mary Agyepomah-Kissi.
For this and more, check us out on africaglobalradio.com. On Facebook and YouTube, Africa Global Radio. On Twitter and Instagram, AF Global Radio.